All right, in this video we're going to be looking at formulas across workbooks. Now we looked at 3D formulas, which are formulas with across worksheets within the same workbook. But now we want to take a number from a different workbook, or we want the answer in a cell from different workbooks, and we want to add them all together in one worksheet. So I have 4 Excel workbooks open down here. You can see them along the bottom. And I'm in the travel totals. Right up here we can see which one. That's the first one. And then we have Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. And I want to be able to see these all in the same window. So in my view, I can use the Arrange All and choose Tiled. Now my screen is a little bit small because I have the window smaller for making the video. So in reality, we could probably see all of this worksheet here, but because my screen is smaller, we're not seeing all of it. All right, so I'm in the Travel Totals workbook, and it's the active one, and we can tell that because the cell is surrounded. And then when I click in here, I click one time to activate the worksheet and select again to activate the cell. And it's the same in here. I would click once, and this is Utah as the active worksheet. I click again to activate the cell. So I'm going to go back to here, and I want to be, what I want to do is I want the totals for animal habitat from these different workbooks. Okay? Now, before we used the click-shift-click method, but we can't do that in here because we're not working within the same workbook. So I have to use the longer version, which is to type equal, and now I'm going to click once in New Mexico. It activates the worksheet. Click again and grab that cell, which is B6, and now I'm going to hit the plus sign, and my formula, you can see it up here, starting to build. Then I'm going to go down to Utah, click once Utah is activated, click the cell, click my plus sign. Now the whole time it's actually making my formula in my Travel Totals worksheet. And now I'm going to go over to Colorado. I click once, Colorado is selected. I click again, and there's my B6 in Colorado. And now I'm going to, at this point, I could hit the Enter key. I might need a closing, no, okay. So you can see it's rather a long formula. So the first thing it shows you in this formula is it shows you what the name of that workbook is. And that's why it's in square brackets. So this is the name of that workbook. And we can see the name right here. And then here's the worksheet within that workbook, exclamation point, and then the cell, which is B6. Now it made the cell absolute. So we know that what would happen if we click and drag in either direction, it's always going to look at the same cell, B6, because these answers are absolute. I'm sorry, these cell references are absolute. And so if we want to, I'm going to delete these. If we want to be able to click and drag our formula over, then we need to get rid of the absolute on here. So if you remember, you can put your cursor inside that number anywhere, and you hit your F4 function key on your keyboard, and that will toggle between absolute, mixed reference, relative. Absolute, mixed reference, whoops, let me undo that. Mixed reference, and relative. So once we have the absolute values off, the dollar signs off, then we're back to a relative reference. Now I can hit the check mark, which means okay, accept it. Now I'm able to click and drag across the worksheet, and it will change B6 to C6, C6 to D6, etc. And so then I can also, let me just go like this, click and drag down, but I'm actually not quite sure how far I need to drag down. Let me go in here. All right, so that's all of my totals, and then I would need to, I could just use the sum function in here to get my sums of these. Now, the one thing to remember when you're working across workbooks is this is looking for the name of that object where it found it. And I have all of these workbooks in one place, either sitting on my flash drive or, yeah, I think they're sitting on my flash drive. So if I moved one of these workbooks out of my flash drive and threw it away or put it on my C drive or something like that, then this would no longer, this workbook, travel totals, would no longer be able to find New Mexico where it thought it was. And so it would no longer work, and my formula would be would not work. So you need to remember, when you're working across workbooks, those workbooks need to be static or not moved. And of course, if you're working at a company, most of it is put on one server or in one folder, and so that's not a problem. But just keep that in mind. All right, so open up a couple different workbooks, change your view to tiled, and try making some formulas across workbooks, and take a look at how the Excel writes that formula for you. Have fun!